Welcome to growthtofreedom.com, the show that brings you inspiration, transformation, and leadership. We're helping you connect the dots, see the blind spots, and get unstuck so you can go out there and create more leads, more sales, more profits. More importantly, so you can go out there and have a bigger impact, a bigger reach, and make a bigger contribution. Is that what you want? If that's what you want, you are going to love today's special guest expert. He's a current NFL player. He has played 3 times longer than the average player in the NFL. He's going to share exactly why he's been able to do that, peak performance strategies. He's going to talk about what it's taken to be able to do that, relationships, and a whole lot more. And why this is also special for me. If you're new to our world, my name is Dan Kuschell, and thanks for making us part of your day. If you've been around a while, you probably know this, but if you're new, this may be new to you, which is, on top of business. And, for 30 years, we've been helping clients from around the globe, literally over 200,000 clients. We've coached over 5,000 founders and CEOs from 180 different niche industries, 11 plus countries, just so many cool ways with a lot of experience. On top of that, one of my passions and joys is I get to coach youth football. So our current guest today actually was introduced to me by one of our clients from mbluemail.com. We'll have links in the show notes and such, so you can learn about them and setting up your free account with them to make your email flow, your automations just work easier. And if you want a team, they can just help you. So one of the key staff members there, Keith Richards, connected our guest expert today. His name is Bennie Fowler. And Bennie, when I got a chance to chat and I said, hey, Bennie, would you mind sharing some of your wisdom and insights with our youth football team, 11 to 14-year-olds? And he said, of course. And he was so gracious and just so amazing about it. And he said, yes. And I said, great. And so we did this interview and it was so good. Our business group, our entrepreneurs, our CEOs, our founders who listen and watch our show, right? Because it was so good. And I think you're going to get a ton of value out of it. I mean, if you're looking for a way to get peak performance strategies, learn what does it take to be able to, be unique in a way and stand out in a crowd, to differentiate yourself so that you make a long-lasting impression as well as a first impression, and a whole lot more. I think you're going to love today's segment. No, by the way, if you love what Bennie has to share, and maybe you run a business, maybe you run a company, maybe you have a team, I'd encourage you to connect with Bennie, and the links will be in the show notes on how to be able to do that, to connect with Bennie, to look to have him speak at your organization, or to be able to train your staff on peak performance, or train your staff on leadership strategies, right? Because at the end of the day, if you want to get free from the business as the founder, you've got to have a great team. He can show you how to be able to do just that. So with that in mind, if you want to come back to this episode, go to growthtofreedom.com. That's growthtofreedom.com. In addition, if you're looking for some additional help with some of the things that we talk about, like getting more clients daily, or getting an operating system in place for your sales or your marketing, or both, right? Or maybe you've hit a plateau, or maybe you're just burn out because you've been following a lot of other experts who've said, to go out there and build your marketing, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z. And what you found is you've done a lot of things, but you still got nothing to show for it. I want to encourage you that there's likely a unique, different way, and we might be able to help. And so if you'd like to get our help in implementing or helping build an operating system around your sales, revenue, and marketing, then let's schedule a call and let's review your business and let's see what we can do to help. And if we can, we'll let you know. And if we can't, we'll refer you to someone who can. Essentially, we'll give you a 100% free consultation. We'll do a business review with you. We'll identify where you're at, where you want to go. And then we'll share some options of what would we do if we were you? And that's real simple to take advantage of. You can go right now to breakthroughstrategycall.com. That's breakthroughstrategycall.com and set up your appointment. And go from there, right? Now, with that in mind, I encourage you to check out what Bennie shares with you, and ideally see if you pick up some insights on your peak performance and or how to leverage relationships so that you can have 3 times the impact and 3 times the length working retention of anybody else in the world. And this coming from one of the top 1/10% of athletes in the world playing in the NFL. So let's join Bennie Fowler and our fun interview with our youth football team in its entirety.
How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. So glad you could join us, my friend.
Oh, no problem at all. No problem at all. You don't have the mask on from the presentation I watched.
Yes, that's awesome. So, guys, I want to introduce you to a new friend. A friend of a friend introduced us. We have a gentleman named Keith Richards who we're doing business with and helping their company grow, who got Bennie and I connected. If you guys don't know Bennie, as you're getting a chance to see this, Bennie is an NFL current player, free agent. He's played for 7 years, which is almost 3 times the lifespan of most NFL players. So there's a lot of stories there and history there, learning lessons there, and all kinds of stuff going on. He's also a student of life. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's a philanthropist. He's also an angel investor, right? So he's not just a guy who's relied on football, and he'll share some of that with you. Our theme for today, guys, is mindset and winning, right? And as you guys are, with us, like, what do you think it takes to have the mindset to win at the highest level, right? A couple other details about Bennie. He actually grew up in an area near where I grew up as a kid. He went to a school called Detroit Country Day. You can go look it up. The only big mistake he really made was going to that green school at college instead of the blue and gold school. But I'm not going to hold that against him, especially because he's willing to share his time with you guys overall. So that's the big mistake he's ever made in his life. But he seems to be doing okay with it. He still has a smile on his face, which I don't get. I just don't understand it. But there's all kinds of lessons, guys. I wanted to introduce you guys to Bennie because, it's one thing to hear from me as a coach, but he's in the NFL right now, going through all the changes in the NFL, dealing with COVID, dealing with all this stuff, and at the same time, building his future success and planning, right? He's a student of life, like I mentioned, and I think you're going to learn a lot from him. So, Bennie, it's awesome to have you, man.
Hey, appreciate you having me today. And yes, feel free, everybody who's listening right now, they could feel free to ask me any questions. But like you said, I am a student of life. And like you said, today we're talking about mindset and winning. And those two go hand in hand, but it starts in the mind. It starts in the mind. When you get to the professional level, and as you know, regardless if it's professional sports or business, the mind is what separates everybody. When you're at the top, everybody's talented. Everybody's talented in the NFL. But the guys, the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Bradys, the Drew Breeses, the Eli Mannings, those are the 4 quarterbacks that I've played with in my career. The mind is what separates them. And that's what helps them win on and off the field. And that's one of the things that I always pride myself on is my mindset. For me to be an undrafted NFL free agent coming into the league and to be playing for 7 years, going on to my 8th year, it's all been mindset.
It's amazing. Like there's so much and we don't have time to go into all of it, but man, guys, that's 3 times the lifespan of the normal average NFL player. And as an undrafted free agent, it's an anomaly. You guys can do your own research on that. So Bennie, I want to ask you, speaking of what you brought up about mindset, right? You've been around, you're obviously an anomaly of success with your mind, which is why you're doing what you're doing. And you've been around those 4 quarterbacks who, depending on who you'd ask, are considered GOATs in their own right? Either in their organization or even potentially in the NFL. For you and maybe them, if you've ever seen it, for all of us, doubt can creep in at times, right? Mm-hmm. We have good days, we have bad days. Like, what would you say to somebody where doubt is creeping in their mind about whether it's their performance or their ability to continue to compete? How do you manage that? How do you navigate that? Sometimes that voice of doubt that can creep in.
Well, one of the things and one of the best ways that you can, work with doubt is to acknowledge the fact that it's there and to thank that part of you. That part of you is trying to help you stay safe. It's always going to be like that, especially since the evolution of man It's a fight or flight response in terms of the brain. And I think that's one of the most important things, is that your brain is trying to protect you because it's perceiving that there's danger around. So understanding that part of the brain and understanding your mind, and then understanding the fact that if you're preparing every single day, then you'll be just fine. But there are no perfect humans. I've never seen the perfect football game. I've never seen it. We've never seen anybody with the perfect life. So let's understand that, and let's compete against ourselves and try to be the best version of ourselves every single day. I think comparison is the thief of joy. And I'm going to repeat that. Comparison is the thief of joy, especially in today's world. We have Instagram. There's so many things, and we're always comparing ourselves to somebody else. But what is your real definition of success? That will help you eliminate some of the doubt. What is success really look like to you? And what do you really want out of the game of football, out of the game of life, is what I would say in terms of doubt. But doubt's always going to be there. You think about a guy like Kobe Bryant. Of course, there's going to be fear. But how can you reframe that into say that means you're doing something significant and exciting? You're getting ready to do something really big. You're playing in a football game, or you're in a business meeting, or you're going to school. You're asking that girl out or that guy out, whatever it may be. You're doing something exciting. So that's a good thing. It's okay to have a little bit of doubt there. And that's what it can also drive you to be the best.
So what do you see in this could be you, or you see in these other super performers, how they channel it? Like they acknowledge it, embrace it. It's part of life. But then how do you channel, or how have you we'll use you as an example. What have you perceived in watching, being around some of the most successful men in the world, dealing with it?
It comes down to preparation. And that is one of the best ways you can eliminate. Like I said, there's always going to be some doubt, because, there's always some unknowns going into a game, going into, just the next day of life. But are you prepared? So if I think about that, that's one of the best things I learned about playing with Peyton. You had to be prepared. I was nervous. I played with Peyton for 2 years, and I was nervous every single day, because you just never knew what kind of questions you were going to get in the meeting room. And when I'm talking about preparation, I'm talking about this. I'll give you a perfect example. So the third string quarterback on any team that Peyton plays on has to watch the TV copy of the game on Monday after our game to see what signals and code words were said on the TV copy, so that we could be prepared and change those signals and code words for the next game. That's the type of preparation. We had code words for code words, but it's being prepared in that way. He might show you a play. So I played with Peyton in 2015. He showed us some clips from 2010, 2008 against certain defensive coordinators. Like, hey, we might get this blitz. Just be prepared. And this is the answer that we'll get. This guy did this to me 7 years ago. So we got to be prepared for it. Drew Brees, the same way. We're getting ready for a game on Sunday. On Saturday, after our walkthrough, everybody clears out. He's in the indoor by himself. He starts at the 1 yard line and goes to the opposite one. And he goes through every single play, formation, down and distance, situations. That's what being prepared is. So it eliminates some of that doubt.
That's so amazing. And guys, as you're listening right now or watching right now, I hope you're pulling some of this out, not only for, on the field, but off the field. It's so critically important. Preparation in anything, especially off the field, in business and relationships and life, all of it, it pays dividends.
I want to speak to that as well, Dan. It's, even as we're talking about, not even football, just life. Me preparing for myself, life after football. Football is only a small part of my life. But, me reaching out to you, asking you questions about how you developed your business, and anything that I can take from you, and how can I set myself up for life after football so I'm not searching for something else to fill the void. When opportunity knocks, it's too late to prepare. So you have to be ready right now. And that's why I'm getting ready right now. Why would I not lean on somebody who's already done what I want to do?
Dig a well before you're thirsty, right?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Now, Bennie, And I mean this respectfully, right? As I looked up and researched your background, you're not the biggest, tallest guy in the NFL at receiver. You're not the fastest guy. In fact, it seems that they've misquoted your 40 times in several different places, right? And you've been in the NFL seven years, and now you got these young bucks coming in who they might be bigger, they might be faster, right? They might be 6'5", strapped, right? Running 4.2s. God help us all. Like how people can run like this these days. It's crazy to me. Like in the 80s, where I came from, I'm in my 50s now. You were really fast if you were running like 4.49, 4.52, right? Now, and maybe it was faster, but they just didn't have clocks fast enough to time the fastest guys. It's crazy. Again, coming back to this thing about mindset, how do you keep yourself in a peak state to perform when there is so much competition of guys that are bigger, faster, stronger potentially than you?
Yeah, it's what am I focused on? What am I focused on? There's something that I go into every offseason that says I need to focus on this. And at the end of the day, the reason why I'm in the league is because I'm a pro's pro. I show up on time, I do my job, and I don't worry about anybody else but doing my job. And that's the most important thing. There are guys who are faster, stronger. I've beaten out first round picks, second round picks. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's about what you have up here and how can you persevere? How can you be consistent day in and day out? The NFL is all about consistency. Life is all about consistency. Can you show up every single day, or are you just a flash in the pan? Okay, you make a good play here, but then you're late to a meeting. You don't show up. You don't treat your teammates the right way. It's so many different things that come in to place, especially when you are an investment. In the NFL, you are an investment. They're investing in you. So there is no time for you to show up late or not do your job, not do your homework, not study. And that's why I've gotten the respect that I have around the NFL, because the quarterbacks who can vouch for me are four of the best. And I've gotten and gained the trust of those people on and off the field. And that's what it comes down to in life, in business, in school, in relationships. Can you trust the other person to do what they said they were going to do?
That's so good. Speak to the importance of relationships, Bennie. You just brought up a great example. You've got four of the best in the world ever in the history of the world of the NFL vouching for you. That comes with relationship capital. You can take away our money. You can take away, our physical material stuff. But man, relationship capital may be the most important capital ever. Speak to how it's played a role for you.
Yes, like you said, relationship capital is the most important thing you can have. And if I think about business, obviously you understand business, and people buy from people. People work with people at the end of the day. They don't work with stats. I mean, you see a guy like Tom Brady, and you see people want to run through a wall for him. It's because of the relationships that he's developed with people. That's what Peyton did with me. The first day I walked into that facility, I was nervous, so nervous. I had my headphones on. I'm trying to act like I'm busy putting things away in my locker. And he comes up and he says, "Hey, my name's Peyton. Nice to meet you. Glad to have you on the team." Right then and there, I wanted to run through a wall for him because he introduced himself. Of course, I knew who he was, but that's how important it is. He knows everybody in the building by their first name. And I'm not talking about players and general managers. I'm talking about the people in the kitchen, the people who clean the bathrooms, the people who take care of the field. That's the people he has lunch with, because they have an important role on making this team successful as well. But it's like you said, it's all about relationships. It's all about treating people the right way. And, that's something that I pride myself on, is that when people come to my house and they see the jerseys on the wall from Peyton, from Drew, from Eli, the messages are what I want people to see, and how they talked about me as a person and as a teammate. But like you said, relationship capital that's always going to be there, regardless of money, regardless of fame. I can call Peyton right now. I can shoot him an email right now. Might not necessarily do everything I ask. He'll respond. He cares because he cares. And I think that's super important. That's one of the reasons why I got a chance to play with Tom Brady. Bill Belichick told me he signed me because he called Peyton and asked him what type of guy I was. And that's the reason why they signed me. So relationships go a long way.
A long way. Men, I hope as you're listening to this, and if you're not part of our organization and you're hearing this or seeing this somewhere else, men or women, what can you learn from what Bennie just shared with you? Right? There's one thing in like skill sets and abilities and whatever it is you do. It could be business, it could be NFL, it could be any sport, it could be any activity. There's abilities like, can you run? Can you catch? Can you throw? Can you blah, 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 whatever it is. Can you sell? Can you lead a team? Blah, blah, blah. That's business stuff, right? There's two abilities that I want you to tune in on that Bennie just hit on that are often overlooked, often not talked about, but two of the most important abilities in the world: availability and reliability. And what I just heard Bennie just describe to you was the importance of those two skill sets. If you can just show up on time, be a good dude, be a good gal, do what you say you're going to do, put in the prep time, you'll go far in life. You might go 3 times as far as the first round draft pick who didn't have the availability or reliability, and in 6 months, they're no longer in the league. They're no longer in that role. Why? 2 simple little things. I hope you're really paying close attention to what Bennie shared. There's so much, Bennie, I want to get to, and I want to have our young men ask their questions of you here in just a few minutes. So I want to open it up. Here's where you are now. Like you've got this amazing success track record. Can you remember back to when you were a kid playing youth sports? Maybe you were 12, 13 years old. So if you can think back to that, like what are some of the things you learned back then that help build this foundation that you show up, you're prepared, you do the work, you're reliable, you're available, you are a gym rat, essentially, in your own way on the field to consume and contribute and build relationship capital? Like what were some of those memorable experiences you had like as a kid that you now realize, oh, that laid a foundation for me?
Yeah, I would say the first memory that comes to mind right now is, being 8 years old, playing basketball at the YMCA. My dad started a basketball team for my brother and I, and a group of us, it's about 12 or 13 kids that, were the core foundation of our AAU team, which we call the Power Stroke. And I remember my dad talking about mental, physical, spiritual. Those are the 3 core foundations, values that we had growing up. And I think to this day, that's 3 of the most important things that I always have to work on. That's always a check at the end of the season, going into the next season. Okay, where's my mental health at? Where's my mental fitness at? Where's my physical fitness? And where's my spiritual fitness? If all 3 of those aren't aligned, I'm good with whatever result. I can control all of that, and taking care of that every single day. The first thing I do and the last thing I do is I wake up and I pray. I thank God for the abilities that I have, and I'm very thankful. Meditation. Quick meditation, 5 to 10 minutes. Everybody thinks you have to do an hour, but you have to get grounded. And then taking care of my physical health. I work out at 7:30 every single day. That's my routine right now as an entrepreneur. And that's the way I have to have my day set up because I'm coaching clients in the afternoon. But that's that's my first early childhood memory. And then, just as I grew up, I was more talented than a lot of the people. So I didn't have the work ethic that I had until I got humbled, until I went to college. So I could get away with things. I wanted to be an NBA basketball player. And I truly believe that if I stayed in the gym how I should have with my athletic ability, I could have made it to the NBA. But I didn't have the work ethic to actually go after the passion sport that I had. And my mom actually helped me navigate and understand that I could use my speed on the football field. So I think listen to your parents. They have a unique perspective. They have a lot more life than, us kids. So I'm still listening to my parents. My mom and dad point out things to me all the time, still to this day. But I think, really having that core foundation, mental, physical, spiritual, that's something my dad talked to me about. And that's something that I'm always going to carry with me. But, you know, when I was growing up, sports was a lot of fun. I played 3 sports, basketball, football, and I ran track. And I love to compete. And, you know, how are you competing? You should be competing all the time. You should be outside all the time, especially if you love sports and just staying active. Like, sports really teaches you about life, getting up every single day, going after what you really want, going through the ups and downs. That's life. Not every day is going to be a good day. Some
That's
days are
right.
better than others. What can you bring to the next day?
So speaking of that, I know, you know, in your either junior or senior year, I believe, of high school, and then your freshman year of college, you had some injuries you had to deal with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about, you know, how you navigated like dealing, you know, I don't know if you would have at that time considered like one of the biggest failures, or I don't know, a mistake is the right word, but dealing with that low, call it, you know, like you just talked about ups and downs, right? And dealing with injuries can be a huge low, especially for a performer and athlete, right? Speak to that, again, back to the mental side, the winning side of, you know, it's easy to stop. It's easy to be a sunny day person when everything's great. But when it's terrible and you have a serious injury and it takes X amount of time to return, and there are times when you're in the middle of it going, am I ever going to get better from this thing? Like whatever it is, right? You just do the work, you grind through it. It hurts still, like, right? It can still hurt. You're just getting yourself through it. So speak to that a little bit, dealing with failure or injuries, and then, you know, navigating it to still perform at a high level.
Yeah, so I think dealing with injuries, I had to deal with injuries my junior year in high school. I broke my collarbone, first ever bone I broke. And then when I got to Michigan State, I broke my right foot in my true freshman year. And then my junior year, I broke the same bone in my left foot. The way that I got through those times was actually thinking about what is it gonna be like when I am healthy? What is it gonna be like when I am healthy? But I can't let this define me. I cannot leave my career not trying, not getting on the field, not putting in the work, because it just, I felt it would have been talent wasted if I didn't go out there and try. So, you know, that's what I did. And I leaned on motivational videos. I'm a big, 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 big Kobe Bryant fan, you know, the late, great Kobe Bryant. And it was all about mindset. I saw him go through things, you know, personally, mentally, and you just saw the way that he responded to everything. And it was just like, I can't give up. And then also my brother, who is my hero and who I dedicated my book to, my brother tore his ACL 3 times before he graduated high school. Still got a scholarship to Central Michigan, where he broke all the basketball records, led them to a MAC championship, and played professionally overseas for 2 years. So I could never give up. My brother tore his ACL when he was 11. So, you know, watching him go through that, we have to lean on the people who are closest to us. There are a lot of inspiring stories out there that can help us and push us forward. And when I think about any of the things that I've gone through, okay, yes, I'm going through it right now. You got that 24 hours. All right. So, and then what's the plan? What do I really want out of this rehab? Or what do I really want in this life? And how can I make this meaningful? And then you find different passions when you're injured. You can find different things. You can discover yourself even more. Okay. Right now I'm injured. So what's the other part of my life that I can maximize right here and right now?
Amazing. Now, speaking, we've talked about success, we've talked about failure, we've talked about mindset, and there's so much more. Again, I wish we had 24 hours to spend together, because this would be it may not be that fun for you, but it'd certainly be fun for a kid like me. That's for sure. At the same time, I really want to make this fun for these young men who've been dedicated, you know, practice, putting in the effort, putting in the work. And I asked them to prepare a couple questions for you, right? And guys, I want to open it up right now for you to ask your question. Xavier, I'd love you to open up your mic and ask Bennie the question you had. And then guys, be ready, because I'm going to, you know, as he answers these, I'm going to have you rapid fire, and Bennie will just take as much time as we can possible, probably another maybe 10 minutes ish out of respect to Bennie's time, and wrap this up. So Xavier, you ready? All right. They say opportunities are never lost. They just go to someone else who's ready. So are you up for it?
Am I up for it?
No, I'm Xavier. I'm calling for Xavier. Xavier, where are you at, kid? You typed your question in. Turn your mic on.
Oh, my question was, who was your favorite NFL player when you were growing up?
My favorite NFL player when I was growing up, I was a big Barry Sanders fan. So I'm from Detroit. I loved Barry Sanders. Incredible running back, one of the best running backs of all time. Super shifty. I used to watch his highlight tape all the time. But like I said, when I was growing up, I was a basketball guy. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. Those are the guys I wanted to be like. My mom actually took me out when I was in the 6th grade to LA to a Lakers game. That's how much I loved Kobe. So I wanted to be a basketball player, but Barry Sanders and Randy Moss, those were my guys.
That's amazing. That's amazing. All right, Kyler, you're next. Ask your question. Then we got David Larson right behind on the bubble.
What made you want to go for the NFL?
What made me want to go for the NFL? I always wanted to be a professional athlete. When I was younger, I wanted to be famous. I wanted to be a professional athlete. I wanted to make money playing sports. And then I also wanted to play in front of a lot of people. That's what made me want to go for the NFL. And, when I was getting recruited by Michigan State, I walked into Spartan Stadium. Coach D took me into Spartan Stadium. It was 80,000 seats in there. And I looked up and I was like, this is where I have to be. I have to play here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. David Larson, you're up.
So I have 2 questions, actually. Well, the first one is, how and when do you start training for the next season?
I start training the day after the season's over. Now, when I say that, I'm not going into football things, but I never stop working out. There are so many different ways to work out. There's yoga, there's Pilates. But I take a load off in terms of, heavy lifting. I'm not doing any cutting. I don't do any cutting so if the season ends in January, if we don't make the playoffs, I won't do any cutting or put on any cleats until, around this time, until around April. But, I never stop working out, but I do a lot of push-ups, sit-ups, runs. I'm always constantly working out and staying in shape. That's what you have to do in life. It's not just about, all right, when you're done playing, you stop working out. You see athletes do that, but what do you want your overall physical health to be year round? And, I don't ever stop working out.
Yeah, my other one is, what does a typical week look like during the season?
During the season? So
Yes.
A typical week, Wednesday in the NFL is our Monday. So Wednesday we're in the building. You're probably in the building around 7 a.m. I probably get a little breakfast from 7 to 7:30. I might look over the script in terms of what plays we're installing from 7:30 to 8. We'll have our first meeting at 8 o'clock, team meeting from 8 to 8:10. And then from 8:15 to 9, we're probably in a special teams meeting going over the 4 phases. From 9 to 11 is offensive meetings and defensive meetings all separately. 11 to 11:30, we're in position meetings, 30-minute break. Then we hit the practice field from 12 to 2. And then we'll have a little bit of lunch, from 2 to 2:45. And then around 2:45 to 3:15, you have special teams meetings. And then I think it'd be like, 3:15. Yeah, so 3:15. So 3:45 to about 4:30, then offensive meetings where we're watching the film from the practice. And that's a Wednesday and a Thursday. That's what that looks like. Then we have Fast Friday. You come in the building around 8 o'clock. Meetings start. Meetings are super short. We're on the field at like 9:30. Practice is about 45 minutes. And then we're done for the day. Saturday is a situational walkthrough, walking through all the situations in our first 15 plays of the game. And that's about an hour and a half. Meet at the hotel, walk through again, and then we go out there, play on Sundays. Monday, come in, review the film, watch the film, get a lift in, get some conditioning in, and then Tuesdays is completely off. But you're probably getting ready for the next game in terms of just getting ahead and watching some film on the next opponent.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, guys, as you're listening or watching right now, obviously this is a career, right, that Bennie is in, and this is a full-time, like this is a man's job, right? And it could be a woman's job, in its own way, in a different career path, like different, like WNBA, professional softball, that sort of thing is in athletics, right? It's not some part-time gig. It's like full-time, right? Even though you guys are students, what could you apply from what Bennie is talking about for you, right? You guys have off seasons, you have off days. There's an old saying that you can tell most champions in life by what they do when no one else is watching. And this is probably, again, coming back to those two abilities, availability, right, and reliability. What Bennie is probably built in his DNA, it's just now automatic, is a lot of reliability and availability because he's just consistent over and over and over again. He does the work. To him, it's probably not even, and I don't want to put words in his mouth because I can feel the joy from him. It's not a job for him. It's still a game for him, although he realizes it's a business and he's setting the stage for life after and off the field. He's looking at it like this still applies to my life. I would be doing this anyway, right? So guys, what could you take out of this as young men, as young students? And if you're not a student, again, if you're finding this somehow, some way, somewhere else, like what could you take out of what Bennie just shared about the commitment to excellence, the commitment to be a winner, the commitment of mindset? So I think, Luis, you had a question.
Yeah, my question was like, who inspired you to play the sport? Like, yeah, that's my question. Who inspired you to play the sport? Who'd you learn the sport from, or who inspired you to play the sport?
I would say I just love sports growing up. My dad took me to Detroit Lions games all the time, Detroit Pistons games all the time. And, they put me in sports as, when I was young. I didn't know what sport I really wanted to play professionally. Well, actually, I do. I know I wanted to play basketball professionally, but my inspiration came from just watching the games on TV. I can remember watching NBA Finals games. And then as I got older and older, my dad would take us to playoff games. And I was able to go to so many different sporting events. And, that just, when you're around it, you immerse yourself in it, you watch it, you study it. That's exactly what you become. That's what you want to be. That's where I got inspired. And then I stopped playing football in the fifth grade, and then I didn't pick it back up till I was a junior in high school. And my mom inspired me to go back out to play football and use my talents elsewhere. So I would say it started with my family, but also just watching it on TV and seeing, the guys that I wanted to be like and seeing myself in them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So much truth in there, guys. So much truth. And yet that whole time you did play some sports. You did still compete, right? Basketball obviously was probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, at all times I was always competing. My brother and I, still compete to this day, but we would play basketball in the house, fake basketball all day, or video games, whatever it is. You can compete in so many different things, whether it was debate or even with grades, we were competing. It was just like, who can do better at this? This competition, that's what life is all about. It's, measuring up and seeing how you measure up against the best. And then you go back to the lab and then you figure out how you can do it even better. It doesn't matter in what area of life it is. We can always constantly improve.
Get in the lab, guys. Get in the lab. It's your own lab called life, the lab of life, right? Eli, you're up.
I was gonna ask it like how you felt when you heard Drew Brees was retiring.
I was happy for him. He's had an incredible career. He set so many different records, one of the most accurate QBs of all time. I was very happy for him in just who he is as a person. And him, just going out on his own terms. But the fact that he could play in the NFL for 20 years, I think it's incredible. But I when he retired, I was like, I'm blessed that I got to catch passes and see him on a day in and day out basis, and the way he worked and who he was as a person and how he helped me in terms of my career. So I thought it was awesome, and I'm glad that I got to know him and be a part of his life, and he was a part of mine.
Awesome. Isaiah, do you have a question? And then we got Marcus right behind.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, who did you learn from the most?
In terms of what?
Like anything, like football and like life and stuff.
I'm always constantly learning. I'm learning every single day. You can never know enough. So I'm always constantly learning. The people that I've learned from the most in my life have been my parents, my brother. I learned a lot from my brother, even though I'm the oldest of four. I learned from everybody. I learned from my younger sisters. Draymond Green is one of my very, very best friends. He's like a brother to me, and I learned from him constantly. I've learned from everybody. I've learned from, guys like Odell, Saquon, Peyton, Eli, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Klay Thompson. These are people who I've gotten a chance to spend a lot of time with and just understand how they think, and, people that I've gotten a chance to really be around. So I'm always constantly learning. In the short time that I've known Dan, in the couple weeks, I've already learned a lot in just, going through your coach's webinar in terms of who he is as a businessman and as a man. I've already learned a lot from him in terms of, I have 3 pages of notes in just an hour and a half video that he shared with me. So I'm learning something every single day. The biggest room in the world is room for improvement. That's something that I learned when I was you guys' age. The biggest room in the world is room for improvement. Never stop learning.
That's powerful. Luis, great question. And Benny, that's amazing. And guys, some of you may not find school like a natural place to learn. And by the way, that's normal for certain types of people, right? School doesn't have to be the only way or only place you learn. I hope you picked that up from what Benny just shared. So in fact, if you want to add anything, maybe there's someone here watching or listening, Benny, that maybe they go, I don't really connect with school that much or whatever. Speak to the importance of learning just overall and being that committed lifelong learner, and how you would recommend taking the pursuit of growth and learning and challenging yourself every day.
Yeah, I would think that, you have to really find out what you're really passionate about. And like you said, school is not always for everything, at least the subjects that they're teaching. But what are the subjects that do stand out to you in life? And how can you learn the most? What books can you get? What audio books can you get? During the pandemic, I've always wanted to be a singer, and I wanted to learn how to sing. So I took singing lessons during the pandemic virtually for 2 months, every single week, twice a week, only for 30-minute lessons, because I didn't want to overdo it and just pile myself and make myself overwhelmed. But learning how to sing is something that I've always wanted to learn how to do. So why would I not actually go get the lessons and try to do it? Now, I'm not a great singer still, but I'm improving, and that's what life is all about. Where do you want to improve in your life? And then that's where you want to learn. How can you research? Google is the most incredible thing.
Yes.
That we have. It has all the answers in terms of what we all want as people. So don't be afraid to use that phone. Google's right there for you. What do you want to learn about? There's videos, there's books, there's audio books, there's podcasts. Learning can be done in so many different ways.
And make it fun for yourself, guys. Make it fun, right? You have the ability to control that. But, truly, learners are the high earners, and leaders are learners. That's the truth. So ideally, you will fall in love with learning and find the way to learn that serves you best, right? And there's all kinds of ways, like Benny just shared, to be able to do that. Marcus, your question as we wrap this up.
What made you choose the position you chose?
It's where all the fame is. No, I chose receiver because I wanted to always be a running back. And then I got a little bit taller. And as I was getting recruited, I was getting recruited as a receiver. But also, I wasn't a guy, I was still a basketball player at heart. So I didn't want to get hit that much. So I chose receiver. And receivers always get the ball. There's always a chance to get the ball, and there's a lot of running involved. And I like to use my speed, and that's what I chose. And I chose that also because of Randy Moss, guys like Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Deshaun Jackson. Those are receivers that, when I was in middle school and high school that I was looking up to, and they played the receiver position. I wanted to use my speed and run past people, and that's why I chose receiver.
Amazing. Anybody else have a question for Bennie?
No.
All right, Bennie, as we wrap this up, what are 1 to 3 action steps you would hope someone watching this or our young people that are with us right now are here, or someone that might see this in 4 years from now, some way, somehow on something? What would be 1 to 3 action steps you hope someone would take from our time together today?
I would like for people to take some action steps. That's a great question. I think number one is really just hone in what's important to you. What is really important to you? And asking yourself that every single day. And I think, one of the things that you pointed out that I've watched before is, what are you thankful for? We take a lot of things for granted as people. So what are you thankful for? And then the third thing I would want people to do and ask themselves is, every single day, if they're facing tough decisions or, they want more in life. My mom always brought this up. Are you playing to win, or are you playing not to lose in life? In terms of business, in terms of sports, in terms of relationship capital, in terms of school. Ask yourself, am I playing to win right here? Or am I playing not to lose? Are you playing it safe? Or are you really going for what you really want? And then go out there and get it and enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy what you're doing. Have fun. Surround yourself with the right people.
All right, we're up to 5 right now. You got a few more? No, I'm kidding. So guys, as you're listening or watching right now, identify what's important to you. What are you thankful for? As you're facing decisions, are you playing to win or not to lose? Or another way is, are you playing it safe or playing to do your best? Are you find a way to enjoy what you're doing and surround yourself with other people? I mean, we've covered so much. I've literally got 2.5 pages of notes just from our 40-minute conversation here, guys. I hope that you've gotten a ton of value from this interview, these questions. As you guys know, my focus for you is to create memorable experiences for many of you who are not available almost anywhere in the world. And I'm grateful for Keith, who I was able to connect with, who's been really good friends with Bennie, who got us connected and say, you guys should chat. And we've been developing a relationship here to help each other. And when I asked, I said, hey, would you mind sharing some time with our young athletes? And he was like, heck yeah, in a heartbeat. So guys, I hope all of you will take action with this. Take it to heart. Doesn't matter where you've been. It matters where you want to go. Today, this moment is in the past. It's what you do from here. And I hope that you'll take these 5 steps. I hope you'll take what Bennie shared with you, and I hope you're inspired. And then now you got to do something with it, right? It's easy to talk. It's harder to lead and take action, but action precedes the miracle. What's one thing I should?
Yeah, if you guys need anything from me, if you guys need anything, Dan, obviously, you can reach out to me. But if any of the kids want to talk personally, one-on-one, you guys can feel free. And I have a lot of experience to share. And, I want you guys to enjoy where you guys are in terms of your age right now. There are I wish I could go back, be in high school, be in middle school, and no bills and certain things. But at the same time, you guys are growing into great young men, or if there are some young women watching, you guys are growing into great people, and surround yourselves and really learn and listen to what Dan is talking about. And also your parents or your guardians, listen to what they are talking about and telling you.
Absolutely. So there you have it. Guys, it's been amazing. Glad you're here, Bennie. So incredibly grateful you spend the 45 minutes. I owe you on this, brother. I do. And I look forward to it. I look forward to many conversations together as we help each other over the years. So guys, take action. And if you're picking this up on a replay somewhere or whatever, seize the day. Take action with what Bennie just shared with you. You don't have to be in middle school or high school or college or even play any sports for any of this to apply. It all applies to success in life. It does. So I encourage you, seize the day, take action. We'll see you soon. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of growthtofreedom.com. Are you struggling to get a steady flow of new clients every day? Or maybe hit a plateau or hit a wall in growing your business? Well, let's help you solve this problem today. Let's review your business and have a conversation. You can do that for free today at breakthroughstrategycall.com. That's breakthroughstrategycall.com. In addition, if you're looking for a simple way to implement some of what we've been talking about in today's episode, then I want to encourage you to get our free small business toolkit. You can get that at activate.breakthrough3x.com. That's activate.breakthrough3x.com. If you'd like access to the special resources and all the show notes for this special episode, make sure to visit growthtofreedom.com.